Welcome to Crafty Hints. I'm Chantel. I am so happy to have you here today. We've got some nice short DIYs that are very budget friendly. You can follow me on my social media. Let's get crafty. Okay, spring is just around the corner and I can't wait. It was -8 this morning, so here we go. Let's get into some spring DIYs. I started with this wood round. I got mine off of Amazon. You can also find them at the Dollar Tree. I'm using some Waverly antique wax and a wet wipe. And you can apply on this just as much as you'd like or just as little as you'd like. Or you could paint the background, just depending what look you're going for. And I like the wet wipe because you don't have to go back and wipe it back off like you would a stain. And it doesn't have a strong smell. I pick mine up at Walmart. So you just want to give that a nice once over and go with the grain there and it'll turn out nice. I made this decal with my Cricut. I got the design from Design Bundles. They had a bundle of wood round signs. And often they have a sale. I want to say it's like every other week. And I got the whole pack of wood rounds for $1, like all of the designs. And then you can just pull it into your design space. And so I'm just going to transfer that right on here. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Now, this one was a little bit more intricate. It took some time and a little bit of patience, but I just turned on a Netflix movie and, sat there and weeded it. And you want to just peel off your backing slowly so that you get a nice application. There we are. Easy as that. I didn't even use my squeegee. Whoops. Maybe I should have. But it peels off nicely and I can reuse my transfer tape. I love that. I get that off Amazon as well. I can link that below. And I loved it just the way it was. I really sat there trying to figure, am I going to do anything else? And I thought, well, gosh, that would be an awful quick video. It might be boring for you. So let me add a little bit of flowers. I thought the saying on this was just so sweet. Come on in. That bundle did, though, have, several different ones. And I'm sure I will use them in the future. If you do go over to Design Bundles, they also have a free area. So take a look. I'm not getting any commission or anything like that. I just love to give you the best resources possible. And I think that that is a great resource. I'd like to make some of my own designs for my signs and things like that. But I also love to use some of someone else's artwork. Okay, so just putting together some flowers that will go with this as well as, the door that I'm going to put it on. So I try and balance that a bit, kind of the same type on each side and, just play around with it. I took out a bunch of flowers and, and some greenery. I think the greenery is important as well. But I won't make you watch me put it all together. I'll definitely just give you a couple of ideas here on how I did it. And I just used the wire that was with some of the flowers already and then hot glue. So I just twisted some of that wire with the other flowers and then glued in some of the greenery. And it was as simple as that. Very easy DIY, pretty budget friendly. I get my stack of wood rounds on Amazon. Gosh, I think they end up less than $1 on there. If you want them thicker, then you could always wood glue them together and clamp them. That would be, a nice way instead of getting the real thick ones from the hardware store. Okay, I'm showing you a little bit more on this one than I was thinking I did. But just 1 second and we'll adhere it to this sign. And here we are. Now, what you would want to do if you're concerned with the elements outside is spray that with, a good sealer. I would give it a couple of coats if your sign won't be protected. And I just glued that down in place in a few different spots and added a little bit of greenery here and there. All right, this is just about done. I was trying to decide how I was going to hang this and initially put just a piece of ribbon on the back to hang it, but then ended up with a longer piece of ribbon. So I thought with the weight of that on the one side, we may need to, kind of move this around a little bit to get it to hang straight. So I glued this down. And that did pretty well. You could also glue like a wood stick over or a craft stick over it. I glued some other ribbon on top of that just to give it a little bit more stability there, but it's been hanging for a few days and it's just fine. Okay, this about finishes it up. It's the first of the month, and so you know what that means? We're having another one of our playlists. So I'm hosting along with Brenda from Rustic and Lace DIY and Amanda from 6 Kids and a Glue Gun. We'll have a wonderful playlist below with spring in mind. So take a look at that playlist. I took these pine cones. I thought, okay, we're going to shift from winter to spring, and you won't believe what these turn into. So I took some Waverly chalk paint. This is Pool, and I'm just painting this upside down. So the bottom of the pine cone is our top, and so that's the way we want to paint it. You could definitely flip it the other way and paint it as well, but I painted 3 of them in this pool color, and then I added a little bit of that darker blue. I want to say it's not navy, but that's kind of the color it is. I mixed it with the pool, and now I'm just going on the bigger pine cone. So kind of on the outside, the ones on the bottom, but I'm leaving the center that lighter pool color. So giving it just a little bit, I want to say texture, or dimension. That's the word that I want. It just, instead of, just a flat color, we're making these into flowers. Yes, turning them into flowers. And this color is maize. And I added just a little bit of water to this. It's getting a little bit thick. So had to work on that a little bit. And so now I'm going to do a couple in this color. I just snipped off a little bit of that stem that was sticking out a little bit further. I like to go and, gather these pine cones on walks. You can find them at different times of the year. I really thought pine cones only fell one time a year. I've got the little tiny pine cones, not these, but even tinier, out on a tree off to the side of my house. And that thing drops pine cones, I swear, year round. Okay, so now we're giving that middle just a little bit of color. So you putting a little bit in the center of each of these as the other color dried. You could use your heat gun to dry that a little bit quicker. That's a great investment, a heat gun. Oh my goodness. I love that for my crafting. You know, I originally fell in love with it back when I was doing stamping and embossing, but my goodness, that has just come in handy in so many different ways. Now I mixed a little bit of orange in with the maize. That was a pumpkin color, but look at these. So pretty. Don't those look kind of like flowers? What is that, like maybe a mum? Oh, I think they turned out pretty. Okay, one more DIY for you. Have you seen these little mini flower pots at the Dollar Tree? They are adorable. And I knew that I wanted to make magnets with them. I just thought that that's what they have to be. And I also think that they'll be adorable on a tiered tray. So I'll be doing them a couple different ways this spring. But to start, I thought I needed just a little bit of spring on my refrigerator. You could also use those little framed metal boards that they have in the Crafter's Square at Dollar Tree. Okay, I mixed some brown along with just some orange acrylic paint to make more of a terracotta color. It's showing up a little more brown than, it did look in person. So it really did kind of look more terracotta-ish. And now I'm just going to take that skewer and hold this in place while I get that all painted. And now I'm going back with just a darker brown and giving it just a little bit of shading and just blending that in just a little bit. And then I decided, let's dry brush it just a little bit. So I just use a little bit of a darker brown because terracotta pots, they have that little bit of different coloring to them. And I just thought that that's what it needed to add that other dimension or texture to it. Okay, now if you have extra paint and you're moving on to something else, just put a little bit of plastic wrap over it. I actually did this DIY last night, and today that paint is still ready to go. It didn't thicken at all. It's just perfect. Okay, now I'm snipping down some of my flowers and just trying to fit them in this pot. And then putting some greenery around it, just like it would grow, in your pots. You've got that greenery kind of sprouting around your flowers. Are you guys getting ready for flowers? Oh my goodness, I'm getting kind of excited about that. Oh, if you're enjoying this, please give me a thumbs up. I'd love to hear which one was your favorite as well, but if you're truly enjoying this DIY, please, subscribe as well and share it with a friend if you think somebody else would like it. Okay, just finishing up these little purple flowers. I just love those. I can't wait to check out the playlist. I think there's going to be some great crafters on there with some brilliant ideas that I hadn't thought of. And so I love getting inspired by my friends. So check out the playlist below. Now I've got some little white flowers and I decided to do the 2 smaller pots. These are 3 sizes, so they kind of stair step. But I did them both in some white flowers. And now I've got those tiny magnets I've shown you before. They are so strong. But just to be safe, I did put 2 on the little ones and 3 on the bigger one. I really think I only needed 1 because they are so strong. Like when I set the magnet down next to it on the table, it just grabbed right back into the stack. Those are just tiny little ones and they just would curl back up in there. Super simple. This would be fun to do with the kids. They could, make crepe paper flowers. So many different ways you could do this. Well, thank you so very much for joining me. I do hope that you'll take a little bit of time for yourself to craft and relax and just regroup. Life gets so stressful, so take some time for you to craft. Here's a couple other videos you might enjoy. Bye, friends.